It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledging knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
You heard the man! Woo! It's Topic Thunder, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of wrestling is being injected in the last handful of shows. I don't know why, but welcome to what we call the Internet Saloon, belly up to the bar. As myself, Brooks, my co-host Ben, we're serving up all kinds of information and conversation, which is the point of the show, because you, ladies and gentlemen, are now in the Thunderdome. It's the world's most dangerous chat room, we humbly brag about, and the backbone of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another rousing edition of Topic Thunder. Ben, how the hell are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Extra rested after having a couple extra days. It's like when you play on Thursday night football and then you don't play again until the next Sunday. You get like that extra long rest, and so I am ready to go. So hopefully you've picked some stories to get me fired up, because I'm rested and ready to go.
Let me tell you what, it's been a real struggle to find news these days.
You're being facetious.
I don't deal in sarcasm, Ben. I just don't. Although I have to be honest with you, over the weekend I was bragging to the Gigi that I'm too good at my own gimmick, and it might actually be a psychological problem. But that's neither here nor there. Ladies and gentlemen, you didn't come to the Internet Saloon known as Topic Thunder for nothing. So let's kick the show off with a little beverage, shall we? In our favorite international terrorist organization, Cobra, because we certainly don't like the MAGA people. We like Cobra. And inside of this lovely glass is Powers hot distilled Irish whiskey. This is a nice gift from some nice friends. And it was one that wasn't shared earlier on the show. And if we did, I apologize. I didn't save the link. I tried 3 different boozes on the shelf today. I had the link saved somewhere else. So this is Powers pot distilled Irish whiskey. Cheers, Stolat, to everybody here. We're gonna give this a shot.
I'm gonna drink my peach sparkling water.
We got something for everybody here on the show. That's the point. We spray to all fields, so to speak, and not like you'd see in like maybe a P-tape. This is a good Irish whiskey. I segue right to some Irish whiskey. How about that? Oh, did I mention P-tape? Holy smokes! I believe last week it was breaking news, right?
Yes.
The president's home residence was being raided by the FBI, and it's been a fucking roller coaster since then.
Yeah.
Right? And we were talking a little bit before the show, like these last handful of years, while we're in the middle of all of this, seem dreary. We're tired. We're bogged down by too much information, too much stimuli. Folks, we are living in some fucking crazy history, right?
Yeah, like for real. Like this is some. You mentioned it right before we came on the air in our little talk when we were also talking about baseball robots,
Yes.
which we won't get into here. But I'm just going to drop that in. That was our pre-show conversation.
That's what happens.
Yeah. This is obviously, we talked about it, the first time a president has ever had been raided by the FBI. Certainly ever had a search warrant issued by a judge to them. So this was history making on that level, right? At that very bare bones level, it's history making. However, as this story is evolving, if he had highly sensitive nuclear weapon information in his home, like that's, I mean, how does he not get investigated under the Espionage Act? It doesn't make baseball robots. Well, and baseball robots, but baseball robots.
that the story was well, actually we'll talk about it, but it's a story that's linked to a site that Ben doesn't have a subscription to, so we can't do that. Long story short, let's come back to treason.
To the treason, right? To the violations of the Espionage Act. It could be a huge deal, like, or it could be a really nothing deal, but it doesn't. You don't make this move if you're Merrick Garland. You don't make this move if you're not absolutely sure you've got him dead to rights, because this guy of all guys is going to spin the narrative his way. He's going to hire all of the best lawyers. He is going to
Flip the tables.
try to put together the best team, which I don't know if that's a story we'll get to. He's been trying to put together a all-star team of lawyers, but no one wants to work with him.
Later on in the show, we're actually going to follow up with a former top lawyer, personal representative of the former guy.
There you go. So yeah, it feels like we are on the precipice of a major event.
And Chris mentioning actually in the group text between myself, Ben, and Lockport Joe, I actually sent them the picture of the Rosenbergs, who were convicted in 1958 for selling nuclear secrets to Russia, and then who were executed by firing squad shortly thereafter, being convicted because that level of treason was considered a capital offense, something that Trump also advocated for. He was the one that signed the law in, I believe, 2018 that extended the sentence for felony possession and mutilation of documents from 1 year to 5 years. It's comical once you stop thinking that it's your country.
Right. Yeah. And it is funny too. Also, we talk about the Espionage Act, and in perfect Republican, fashion, Rand Paul comes out the day after the raids and says we should do away with the Espionage Act. That's overreach when it's against him. But when it was Hillary Clinton and her emails, they all pounced on. I mean, it was strategically put out to the media right before the election.
2 weeks. The director of the FBI, James Comey, comes out and says they're reopening the investigation. That right there changed the election.
The entire trajectory of the election. If you had anybody that was wishy-washy at that point, it was obviously established, because then she goes and she testifies for 11 hours straight, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, maybe there was a break or two.
I thought it was like a 2-day thing, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure either.
She sat there and took question after question from these fucking nincompoop Republicans
in a Republican-controlled Congress.
Yes, and they a barrage of gotcha questions that she had to fucking fend off like she's in the fucking Matrix. And she did it. She sat there and she took it, and she answered all of the questions, and she took it on head on. Say what you want about Hillary Clinton. That's one thing that if you gotta put your ass in that seat and answer the questions. If anything,
the way I see that is like you either were you explained yourself and told the truth and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge, right? Which is what you were under oath to do, or you were smarter than every single other motherfucker coming after you in that room, and it was a blatant witch hunt before that term was politically popular here recently, and outsmarted all of them because they were all coming after you with everything they had. They were prepared, right? They had months and all kind, and she sweated it all out, or she just told the truth.
Right. And you have to believe that sweating it out for 11 hours, she would then have to be a level of like psychotic, or I don't even know what the right word is, sociopathic, whatever. We need to get our in-house head doctor to divine what that would be, but it's a level of almost evil that I don't know that any human being could just withstand it and outsmart for 11 hours on tape in front of the world. She would eventually would trip up, I gotta believe. So for then
Candor.
Trump to be deposed and plead the fifth, 400 times?
440 times.
That's insane.
Have you ever seen? Nowhere in the history of ever has Donald Trump ever testified under oath. Go back and look, even in his real estate lawsuits and such, he's never testified under oath. And there's one reason why. His attorneys know he will perjure himself within the first 3 sentences.
Yes. He cannot be trusted off the leash to just be turned loose because he's going to say too much. Yes, I agree. I was actually watching, I don't remember who it was, but someone was discussing whether it was, while it's frustrating that he would plead the fifth 444 times, it is actually sound legal advice because he has pending lawsuits and people looking into him from all angles right now. So they're all going, let's just wait and see what he says in this deposition. He's going to say something that we can use in our investigation. He's going to slip up and say something stupid, open up a door that he didn't realize he was opening. So it is sound legal advice from his lawyers. He's paying top dollar for him, and they're giving him pretty sound legal advice. Like, it's frustrating, but it's pretty good legal advice. Just don't say shit because you can't be trusted.
But also, like any good prosecutor is going to use his own words against him and say and bring up the quotes where he railed against using the Fifth Amendment and said only mobsters use it and only guilty people. So
we know that they don't care about hypocrisy, Brooks.
Yeah, come on.
That does not care about it is looking hypocritical. They don't give a single fuck about it.
Damn.
Nope.
Thought I got him there, Ben. I really thought I got him.
No, and unfortunately, the Democratic Party has been hoping that not wanting to look hypocritical would hold the Republican Party back, and it's not. They don't care. They're not stopping. They don't care that way they look at it.
So, okay, if you don't want to believe that kind of stuff about Trump, let's just talk about, and we have for a long time, what the circle of people around this guy and how just about every single buddy in the inner circle around Trump has either gone to or is about to go to jail. And that includes the basically his consigliere, if you will, for the Trump organization. This gentleman's name. Oh, I just
Alan Weisselberg?
Alan, is it Weisselman or Wieselman? I've heard it both ways, but
Weisselberg or Weisselberg.
Right. He's in a lot of trouble because they got him apparently on about 15. Oh, let me see. Yeah, this is why, because I was looking at the wrong story, Ben.
When you take the job as the CFO, I'll vamp for you here.
Yeah, thank you. Donald Trump's. Go ahead.
Yeah. As a CFO, it is almost one of your jobs is to be the guy. If something shady is happening with the financials of the company, the CFO, it's almost understood, is going to be the one that takes the fall. They are always going to be the last buffer right before the big guy, and and they will always take the fall because before the big guy, and are typically paid very, very well to take the fall. If you look at a lot of these corporate crimes, it's usually the CFO that goes down and does time. And what happens is they say, listen, we're going to hook you up. We know the prosecutor. We know the judge. That we're going to get you, you're going to do some time. You're going to do some time. We're going to get you the easiest time. We're going to get you the nicest place. We're going to set you up as good as we can. And when you get out, we're going to have a nice payday for you. But you're going to take the fall. You're going to do the time. I'm going to be able to say, I didn't know anything about it. He hid everything.
That's
the job of a CFO, ultimately.
And this is what's going to happen here. It's also the job of wartime conciliary, also to kind of be in charge of the things and make.
Oh no. I don't know if we lost Brooks. Did he freeze on you guys?
I'm back. I swear I didn't.
Oh, there we go.
The Russians didn't get me yet.
Okay, good.
To be the fall guy, right? That you.
Oh, no. Oh, hold on. You're back.
I'm not going to touch anything.
You're back. I think you're good.
That's what they told. Also, that's what they told me in 7th grade. Don't touch anything.
Okay, so as you were saying, in the mafia and in kind of the prison sense, there's the guy right before the big guy that's always going to take the fall.
Always. And they got this guy in 1.7 million in off the books compensation from the organization, which is not a lot for a guy who's been working for 40 plus years for the Trump organization, right? Not a lot, but it's enough to get somebody to go, if you don't want to cooperate, here's the possibility of up to 15 years. But we're finding out that the sentence might be as little as 6 months, which is pretty insane.
Right.
Nonetheless, it's part of something bigger, which at this point, I don't think you can rule out at all that there might be an opportunity here to get more information, and that anything that he could provide, I guess he's not going to testify personally against Trump. He'll testify against the organization. But anything at this point, knowing that they might have information that just because of the resources and the scope of this investigation, folks, this is what we've been talking about, the infiltration of some nefarious forces that align themselves with a pre-existing mob model and said, we like how you're doing it. We want to blow it up. We want to gaslight it. We want to fund it. And we want to take that across the globe. We have all this to offer you. What do you say? Sure.
Right.
And we're staring down the barrel of probably the biggest criminal organization prosecution ever mounted by any system of justice ever.
It's crazy.
It's international. It's national. There's hate crime involved. There's violence involved. There's sedition involved. There's an attempt to a coup of the United States government. This is, and they got this guy in basically tax evasion.
Yeah,
that's the start of something, because usually they want to. If you're not going to cooperate or provide information, they want your head.
Right. Yeah.
Terrible. But okay, so we actually reached out to our friends over in Moscow, and we have a clip from our good friends. And yes, this is definitely a part of we're going to get to part 2 of our friends over in Moscow. But this is a clip of Russian national TV, because there really is no other form of TV there, talking about the classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago.
Оказывается, против Трампа расследуется дело о пропаже секретных документов из Белого дома, которые касались разработок нового ядерного оружия США. При этом, что это за оружие, что в итоге нашли в особняке у Трампа, на этот счет ФБР не сообщает. Хотя, очевидно, если важные документы и были, то их давно изучают в Москве. Чего искать-то? Оказывается, против Трампа расследуется дело о пропаже секретных документов из Белого дома, которые касались разработок нового ядерного оружия США. При этом, что это
last
оружие,
line
что
here,
в итоге нашли
I
в
gotta hope
особняке
that
у
that's
Трампа,
just
на этот счет
mistranslation.
ФБР не сообщает. Хотя, очевидно, если важные документы и были, то их давно изучают в Москве. Чего искать-то? Оказывается, против Трампа расследуется дело о пропаже.
I trust that you did your due diligence there, but I want to believe that that's like some sort of fake news mistranslation of the Russian language, because they just said on Russian national television, and it wasn't in a joking way. He wasn't laughing while he said it. He said, obviously, if they found anything, Moscow's already been studying them already. They've already had that information. Like, that would be so bold and blatant that that's why it seems like it has to be fake, because it's so
Okay.
in your face. You know what
We
I mean?
will. I'm gonna every week. Then I'm going to bring a clip of Russian TV, either an RT or I think that was Russia One TV. I'm not sure which one that was. Of them bragging about basically having Trump in their pocket, at times calling him their agent.
I want that to be a regular segment, because that's
Sure.
mind blowing.
That's look back at a couple episodes of Topic Thunder when we were talking about what Fox News is doing and the way they present information. They present a very one-sided, very partisan side of things, meant to inflame, gaslight, and that their model is hungry. Well, who do you think Hungary's model is? So it all ties together. But this, okay. Every week I'm going to bring a video from our good friends over in Moscow and what classifies as news on their nationally controlled networks. So again, let's talk about some of the people around Trump, right? Because in this same week, not only then Weisselberg found guilty of 15 felonies, but Rudy Giuliani, one time America's mayor, one time state's attorney for the New York Southern District, who brought down the Gambino crime family.
It's amazing that it's the same person.
It isn't. If again you just put that filter over, like, just think of like it's a Marvel movie, right? Like, oh, of course the attorney general is going to bring down the crime family, only to bring in another type of criminal organization and benefit from it all the way till the bitter end. Then it makes sense, but that's not what reality is supposed to be. But here we
right. Like, he's supposed to be a good guy, and then he turns out to be some sort of weird drunkard that was hired by the president based on name value, I guess, alone. Like, I can't. That's got to be the you know what I mean?
It's connections.
Yeah.
They know the same people. That's how he got roped into it. Same people that had similar leverage against him, with him, for him, however it worked.
By the way, feedback that the video that we played, that Twitter video, for whatever reason, played very glitchy. And no one was able to see so I guess we need to go back and give a little bit of a play-by-play. The two anchors. Imagine your morning your morning time cup of coffee, given the headlines, news reporters on your local television stations doing a stand-up, and they're reporting on Trump getting raided, and the one gentleman says, I'm not even paraphrasing, he says, obviously if they had found anything, Moscow would have already been studying those papers already, because we'd have them already. Like, just blatantly saying that that Trump, if Trump has anything, then Moscow already has that information because he gives it to them right away. That's insane.
Again, just to let you know, that's what's being fed to the Russian people.
Yes, and so those same Russians, right? Those same Russians have a connection to Rudy Giuliani, which you've made that connection many times here. The vacuum that was created when he took down the Italians allowed the Russians to fill in that vacuum very quietly, and it was allowed to be done quietly because Rudy Giuliani was basically in their pocket.
It wasn't prosecuting. It's not. This isn't a subplot of gangs in New York. This is what happened in New York and New Jersey. Think Sopranos, but it
look at the
really
fucking guy's face, though. Look at it.
I love it. Like with any news organization, you can make somebody look really smart or really dumb just because that photographer's taking 1,000 pictures every minute.
Right. Yeah.
So they're getting everything, including like all the sweat from sweating Rudy Giuliani here. He's got a lot to sweat about. He's under a serious indictment in Atlanta federal court for his involvement in some of the election lies and trying to hunt down that 11,000 some odd votes that President Trump on tape in a phone call asked for. So again, not to dive too much into this because again, this is kind of a couple days old, so we doesn't have breaking news. We don't have to rehash this. Again, most of you are really good people out there listening to the show and get why this is happening and understand like this is part of something so much bigger, but something that a lot of people have been talking about for a long time, and it's coming together in this ginormous cataclysmic way that like leaves you kind of stunned a little bit because these stories keep happening, right? Let's jump ahead, Ben. What happened to Solomon Rushdie this last week? This is insane. Our book, an author was attacked, nearly killed. I did not know Rushdie was on a ventilator. Let me tell you what, if you go on a ventilator, the odds are already against you. They don't expect you to survive. Yeah, it is insanely dangerous to intubate somebody. And normally those people suffer some sort of damage from either the tube kind of going into their trachea and roughing it up to the airflow being too much, or they can't handle the level of oxygen. It is a very dangerous thing to do and not taken lightly by medical professionals. If they intubated him, they expected him to be on life support. That's basically what it is. And he was stabbed right before he was going to give remarks at a place which was very a nonprofit Chautauqua. I'm sorry, Chautauqua. I love how we just try to murder the English language.
Yeah, with two white dudes trying to say some sort of other language word.
Speak English, Ben.
Yeah.
But some dude who entered with a ticket, but with a fake ID and knives, jumped on stage and stabbed him multiple times, injuring his liver. Apparently, he's going to lose one of his eyes. And I guess he got stabbed in or around the neck as well, thus the ventilator. All, again, ladies and gentlemen, writing a book in 1988, called The Satanic Verses, which if you're old enough, you remember was a big deal to the world of Islam. Yeah, the Ayatollah Khomeini, like in his dying days, issued what's called a fatwa.
He has had a contract on his life in Iranian extremist communities since the late 80s. And so this was actually not totally unexpected, but it's so distanced from it that it is a bit surprising. But not totally unexpected because the man was a wanted man in a way.
It had literally a bounty on his head, and
yes.
It was interesting though because the prosecuting attorneys are arguing against any kind of bail. And they acknowledge one of the reasons is that this case is bigger than their jurisdiction and highlighting and intimating that it is an international thing. And basically saying, yeah, you know what, even if we set it at $1 million, this is the quote from the district attorney. Even if this court were to set $1 million bail, we stand a risk that bail could be met, intimating that like we know that there's money behind this. That $1 million isn't enough.
Right. His bail would be met no matter what.
And he'd be out and basically smuggled out and then hailed probably as a hero in the streets of Iran.
Yeah. That next quote says, his resources don't matter to me. You know, we understand that the agenda was carried out yesterday is something that was adopted and is sanctioned by larger groups and organizations. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a crazy story that this guy has basically been hunted for going on, 40 years. They finally almost got him.
Almost 40. Yeah, like some 36 years.
Yeah, think about that.
It's
36 years you're looking over your shoulder. You're always wondering, is that the guy? And finally, in 2022, you're going to go make a speech at some fucking institution that nobody had ever heard of before this attack. Nobody.
And actually,
more to it, you didn't know it was there.
That the speech was going to be him highlighting and advocating for other repressed and endangered artists and writers to come to the U.S. because it was a refuge of all places. Because if you're not familiar and haven't read the Satanic Verses, I have not. Apparently, the most offending part of it is that he, Billy Wax in the house, thank you. Apparently, the most offending part to Islam was that he wrote about, it was a part of fiction, about a dream sequence involving Muhammad. That's what he wrote about.
That's crazy.
That's why they put a bounty on his head. It's what he was. And it's insane that he didn't have personal security. Like,
yeah, how did he not? Right? How did you not think ahead? Like, maybe like he kind of let his guard down because it'd been 36 fucking years. Maybe there was a sense of, well, maybe they've given up. I don't know. But they certainly did not.
That's generational because that was a young man that did it too. I don't know if they released his age or whatnot, but the picture I've seen of him is like he's not more than 40 years old. Like he may have been born before the Satanic Verse. I mean, after Satanic Verses was written.
I just don't understand getting that worked up about it. Like, it just, I don't understand it. My brain doesn't process it. I just don't understand how you could get that serious about something that so obviously is flawed. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to well, I would say a rational person, but maybe we have to have we have in-house mental health specialist Chrissy to come on and we're just going to talk 45 minutes an hour about cults,
or like a religious expert of some sort. We need like a religion expert.
Well, if we can get some kind of religious cult expert, because that's what we're dealing with here with the MAGA thing and elsewhere. It's all manifesting in the same version of its violent self.
These evangelicals and the Christian these Christians that want what Christian theocracy. That's what they're looking for.
And we sometimes will also. I love the phrase Christo-fascists.
Yes, that is a very good description.
That is. Take a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert, what they're advocating for.
It isn't that unsimilar to radical Christianity here in the United States.
Their version.
No doubt. There's they both have their similarities. And again, much like Republicans, Christians don't care about looking hypocritical when it comes to, like, Muslims are terrible because they do this. But yet Christians do that too. Well, yeah, but our God says it's bad. It's like, no, what? Like Muslims persecute gay people and they cut their heads off. It's like, okay, Christians don't cut their heads off anymore, but they still persecute the shit out of fucking homosexuals.
So, I guess if there's one thing Christians are.
The Christians at one time were no different than the Muslims that they characterize today. The Crusades were horrific.
They're the same. It's the same thing. In fact, if you know your history and the story of the Crusades and how that siege ruined what was a wonderful society. And I'm not like they gave us algebra, as we know it, astronomy, levels of architecture that were not being practiced during the Dark Ages and were forgotten about. And we, on a religious myth, wanted to take it.
Destroyed information, knowledge that just because it didn't fall in line with that fucking myth that everyone gravitated to, we destroyed Christianity. Christians destroyed vital information that who knows how it could be advancing our society at this point had we not destroyed that and the Aztec and the Central American information that was destroyed by Christians. It is for Christians to call out Muslims is so hypocritical. And it's like, well, that was then and this is now. But it's like, no, you're just doing it differently. You're not as brazen as going into a town of people and saying, do you believe or don't you? And if they don't believe, you kill them on the spot. Right there on the spot, man, woman, or child. Do you believe? No. Boom, you're dead. We don't do that anymore. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, good on you, Christians. You stopped killing people for, just not believing. But you've done everything else to make their lives miserable for not believing.
If there's one thing Christians are good at, and I ain't talking about forgiveness, it's looking the other way. Just ask a whole lot of young boys.
Oh, yeah.
Any other organization, if that was a Muslim organization, if they found out that imams and mosques were abusing young boys,
oh, dude,
one of the best Bill Hicks comments and critiques of this whole thing was that about the Waco, Texas thing. And I know I'm dating myself here, but the David Koresh Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, where Bill Clinton's Department of Justice sent in a tank that had a flamethrower and everything because that David Koresh was molesting kids. I believe 13 people were murdered by the U.S. government in that raid. And I believe some of those were children. Some of those people were set on fire and burned alive. But and the irony of that is, and I just lost my train of thought. I'm trying to recollect.
Because let's try. I've got some video of our good friend.
And he wondered why those same tanks weren't busting into churches.
It's funny, when I was in Australia during the Waco siege, and I was in Texas, and all the Australians were going, oh, Bill, that guy, such a good right? And first of all, I'm thinking, everyone hated that guy because he called himself Jesus, And my first thought was, come on, the guy's real name is Vernon. Let him be Jesus for a couple of months. You know what I mean? What's it to you? Who's going to follow a Messiah named Vernon anyway? You gotta call yourself Jesus. That's part of the Messiah deal. And Vernon speaketh. And he said, what? We're going to stop and go for beef jerky? What? Where's a guy like Vernon gonna take us? Go get a six-pack. Woo! You can't be Vernon the Messiah. It ain't possible. Isn't that weird though? People always snap and call it and think that they're Jesus in our country.
I don't know if this is the same bit.
It's not.
My bad. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine because I lost my train of thought. I blew the joke and bit anyway. But yeah, he made a parallel to burning down and killing 13 people, a compound in Texas. Why aren't we doing something about this in these churches and stuff? And it actually, that's a really sad video because if you saw his body and knew how he died of pancreatic cancer, he was clearly sick at the time. So there's a couple books about the end days. One of them is called American Scream. And it kind of details some of those last days about how he was just so determined to get his material out there on tape, on anything, just so it preserved. One of my personal heroes, Mr. Bill Hicks, although I shudder to think what he would be saying about what's going on today. So I planned this as a palate cleanser because we talked about some really heavy shit. We're 38 minutes in, and we've already hit and dizzied ourselves to the point where we need to, I felt, kind of recenter ourselves. Okay. So I saw this on the old Twitter and I wanted to share it with everybody because it's insane, it's beautiful, it's talented, it's original, unique. And if you've ever done the 2 cups 1 girl video, may I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, 4 dudes, 1 guitar.
Wait.
Oh yeah, that's it. We didn't talk about this in the pre-show meeting. We talked about robot baseball arms.
Did you skip way ahead?
Did I skip something? It's that first Twitter.
Okay, is it the
just a boy dad? Yeah, it's a great Twitter to follow, by the way, at just a boy dad. Good stuff.
Now this is the last time we put a Twitter video. It was all fucked up, so
let us know.
Yeah, because it's a 2-minute long video, so we don't want to make guys sit through 2 minutes of bullshit.
Palate cleanser, but it's good.
stunning.
It's some badassery right there.
That is absolutely stunning. Stunning coordination, as Ryan points out. I mean, the amount of practice and effort that had to have gone into that.
Right, you're already like a virtuoso at what you do, which I assume somebody was playing a cello part, somebody was playing it like a guitar, and it was like kind of like almost like a bass guitar, right? You're probably already at virtuoso level. I was part of an orchestra, and then they're like, "Yeah, this is great. Why don't you guys do it with one guitar?" And just
Right.
the patience and the
layers of the sound that they were able to create. It's just, that's musical magic. Musical magic is the only way to put it.
Oh, the pens cleanse the palate a little bit there.
That is good. Like this, just a little taste of some of the changes maybe coming around the Topic Thunder.
You teasing like that. You're just such a tease, Mr. Ben Jordan. But yeah, hey, all right. So let's talk about. We talked about a lot of the bad guys in the first half of the show. Let's talk about some of the good guys, right?
Yeah,
we cleansed our palate a little bit. Let's talk about some of the good things that are happening in the world. Some of the good people of the world. Let's talk about Dark Brandon and the FBI locating 121 missing kids who were trafficking victims in a nationwide operation. You don't hear the MAGA cult trumpeting this one.
Number, dude. That's a staggering number of missing children. Like, I didn't want to believe that it was like that big of a problem, because honestly, like, most missing children are it's parental, right? It's someone in the family, usually a parent, has taken the child across state lines, and that is what the human trafficking, you get charged with that. It allows it, but this is different. This is children that were taken missing and put into basically the sex trafficking trade, and the stuff that the QAnon guys and the Epstein folks have been very focused on. And listen, it's this story to me flipped me from it's not that big of a story to holy shit, there's some shit going on. That 121 missing kids in one sting. That's just one FBI sting. Like, what the fuck is going on under the surface in this country?
The globe. But let's also recognize this is coming from The Hill. All right. So this is as far right-leaning as you could possibly probably get on the internet. And they're touting the success of the Biden administration-controlled FBI, I guess, if you want to look at it. And in the same breath, on probably the same front page, this website is advocating for the violent overthrow of the government in some form, or telling people to protest at Mar-a-Lago about the FBI raid. So it's insane, the dichotomy, but the fact that they would publish this and admit it, that the FBI captured these children, not captured, but rescued them, right? There is no word on any bad guy captured in the situation or any kind of further investigation, I guess. I would assume it's ongoing and they wouldn't make this statement unless it was like, okay, we've exhausted all our sources from this particular operation. We're moving on to the next. But look, it's a sad part of our human history and power. This goes back to Rome and Egypt, where for some really weird reason, like, children are an object of desire for the powerful and the controlling.
Great,
it's
fucking
weird
documentary. If you haven't watched it, guys, Adrian and I watched it a couple days ago. It's on Hulu. It's from FX. Children of the Underground. It's a 5-part documentary on this woman who helped women take their children underground to get them away from their fathers who were molesters, right? And it spirals, as things like this tend to. It's how you get a 5-part documentary on FX, because things spiral. But the beginning of the story, it is maddeningly frustrating, and Adrian can attest. If she's in the comments, she can attest. I was yelling at my television. I was so angry at in the 70s, 80s, and even early 90s, law enforcement not taking parental molestation seriously is one of the most egregious and damning pieces of history. And you want to talk about the justice system being broken. It is very broken. And the evidence of what judges were doing, the male judges, these old white men who were judges, were making decisions literally dismissing evidence, physical evidence of molestation, and purposefully saying, no, I don't believe that. A father would never do something like this to their child. And thousands of people were molested by their fathers because before 1996 and DNA evidence really became accessible, middle-aged white men had this freedom to do whatever they wanted. Unchecked. You could molest your own children, and the justice system would turn a blind eye, and you, as the molester, could turn around and say to the judge that my wife is making these crazy accusations. She's crazy and should be committed, and therefore she shouldn't have custody. And they were giving full fucking custody to documented molesters because the justice system was so fucking broken, because white men were not looked at as criminals in this country before 1996. They were not. Just not. You had to be caught red fucking handed to be busted as a white man in this country. There were rapists everywhere in this country in the 70s and 80s. I'm telling you, they
hasn't
were
ended. Hasn't stopped.
But when DNA evidence came about, I believe the amount of cases dramatically dropped because it was easier to get caught. But there was a time in this country where there was no chance of getting caught, and as a white man, you were never going to get looked at. So that's why there was a lot more serial killers. There were a lot more serial rapists.
I think
I'm telling you.
I think the system protected itself because if you know about the backlog of rape kits and police departments, the system protected itself. Like, yeah, okay, all right, we got this DNA stuff, but the system said, we don't have to process it. We're busy with something else. So I think the system like legit protected itself in that one particular example.
Maybe it just is further evidence of how broken the justice system is, and it allows this to rope it back into the story of these kids being found. Is that it's amazing to me that this still exists with the amount of opportunity to get caught that there is now than there was 30 years ago, 40 years ago in this country. Just imagine if this is going on, this level is going on now, when the exposure is 100 times more. What the fuck was going on 40 years ago?
So 100 years ago, 200, 1,000. The apparatus is so ingrained and available, and it's
disgusting, bro. It's disgusting and maddening. I'm telling you, it's a great watch, but it had me fucking fuming.
I gotta watch that stuff. I have trouble. I'm not gonna lie. I have trouble watching that stuff. Like only because like I've got to watch how much negative stuff I take in, because I will become some sort of recluse and just in the corner always. I've noticed that about myself. And hey, folks, I'll freely admit right here and right now, like I've started seeing a therapist, like just because like there's a lot going on up there. So like I to watch something like that, I think I'm just never comfortable with it.
I love true crime documentaries. I can't watch horror movies, so I know that feeling of that. Just you can't watch it because it does shit to you psychologically.
And I can't watch horror movies either. And watching like movies like or documentaries of especially the true crime stuff, like I'm kind of not. I'm by trade. I'm an X-ray tech. I'm certainly not a first responder or a trauma nurse or anything like that. But I've seen my fair share of what other human beings can do to each other, and I've heard plenty more from firsthand accounts. I don't need to see that anymore or played out any more than I already do. So yes. Hey, all right.
I understand completely, but those are the rest of the crowd out there, the Thunderdome. If you're not in that situation, you like a good true crime documentary, you like to get frustrated with television, that's a good watch. Brooks, you were trying to get me riled up with this next story, this IRS story.
Wow.
You knew I was ready to go.
Only because I think there's been a lot of misinformation spread about one of the major agenda pieces for the Biden administration was signed into law the other day, and it was an $80 billion increase over the next decade to the IRS. And
87,000 new agents being hired that's going around with that's tied to this as well.
And that right there, I'm going to stop you right there because I think that's an important thing that you just said. And that's one of the arguing points for the people who think that this is going to be, they're coming after small businesses or individuals, blah, blah, blah. The idea is that this is going to only affect people making over $400,000 a year. But the idea that you just said, new agents, they're not all new. These are positions that had been eliminated or shrunk because of budgetary reasons. And now that they have the budget, they can now go back and fill those positions. So a lot of them aren't necessarily new positions. They just now have the budget to hire to fill them. So basically what they're saying is that, yes, to the tune of $80 billion over 10 years, we've been shortchanging the IRS when it comes to collecting taxes. And the only people we go after are small, uncomplicated accounts, not massive tax fraud that are funneled through multiple corporations, some multinational, multiple tax havens, complicated laws in and of themselves that we have to then engage international lawyers before we can prosecute and gather revenue, so on and so forth. Not the easy pickings.
Right.
So what the Biden administration has now signed into law is providing those resources to, we'll hold them to we're completely the best we can. We're left leaning for sure on the show, but we're as partisan as fuck on this show. And we will hold the Biden administration to their word. And as long as they're going after folks making $400,000 a year, which by the way, equates to about $33,000 a month.
Right. That's a lot. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So there's a couple of numbers that I think stick out, right?
Cheers.
Like, you'll hear people say they're hiring 87,000 new agents and there's only 736 billionaires in this country. That means they're coming for you on Facebook. You, the person that makes under $100,000 a year, they're coming for you. And it's like, okay. Yeah, there's only 736 billionaires in the United States, which, by the way, is a lot. There's 20 million millionaires. That's a lot.
You can have $999 million and not be one of those billionaires. Again, we've had...
There is a lot of money being slipped through the cracks because the IRS does not have enough agents to go after the people that are making millions of dollars a year. I had a person on Facebook that with a straight face was claiming that the IRS was auditing them for the last few years as retaliation because they ran as a libertarian candidate for governor of Tennessee in 2018.
Wait,
and he
do I know this person?
I don't know that you ever met. You may have met him once, possibly.
Okay.
You probably crossed paths with him among the spheres of people that
The Venn diagram that is our lives.
Correct. I was stunned. I was like, this person, if I'm being generous, I'm going to be generous and say they make less than $200,000 a year.
Okay.
I think that
Middle class.
They're middle class for sure. The idea that the IRS is targeting you and auditing you. This person is also a business owner, a small business owner, right? So
that's the lie.
Those people get audited because they're a small business and there's a reputation, right or wrong. A lot of small businesses fudge the numbers to not have to pay their taxes properly. So yeah, they get audited. This person does a lot of probably 1099 work, right?
Sure.
So he doesn't pay taxes throughout the year, then gets a bill at tax time and goes, oh, why do I gotta pay this? Like, where me, I get a refund at this point because I pay so much in through working and getting taxes taken out of my check every month. You're paying it, I actually pay in excess, so I get back. So but the idea that the IRS is targeting you, Mr. Under $100,000 a year guy, is insane. They don't have time for that. They don't have the manpower for that.
It's not worth their time. Yeah. So one of the other figures that in this AP article, this is NPR actually, was that the IRS is estimated to collect $600 billion in taxes in that 10-year period. And in fact, this was a quote from the Counselor for Tax Policy and Implementation at the Treasury Department. Quote, by beefing up the IRS's capacity to go after the wealthy tax cheats, you're going to be able to collect at least 400 billion over the course of the next 10 years. And I suspect substantially more. Folks, anytime you can invest $8 and get $400, even if it takes 10 years, you should spend that $8 every time, no question. And if that $8 turns not only to 400, but the prospect of 600 or more dollars, you're an idiot if you don't do it. There is nothing less than this being an investment in the tax base of the United States. The same people that are going to cry about this and derail the idea that are going to rail against people not paying, and the rich and the 1%, the elite ruling the country. Well, how do you propose to rule and rein these people in besides murdering them on the steps of the Capitol? Tax the shit out of them.
Hire law enforcement. The irony of that pro-law enforcement people are suddenly against law enforcement when it comes to their taxes is, again, they don't care how hypocritical they look. It doesn't faze them. Hypocrisy and feeling hypocritical is not an emotion that these people have. And so when you don't have that emotion and you don't feel bad about being hypocritical, well, then it makes life a whole lot easier because you can just go through oblivious and do whatever the fuck you want.
Whatever. You've already sliced and diced your morals and ethics. So just you're doing what you want, right? Saying what you want, believing what you want, and acting the way you want.
And who cares? Who cares? Yeah, but you said before, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. That was then. This is now.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna jump around here because we're kind of running short on time, and I know time is precious to everybody. But I wanted to highlight.
I told you I was rested, ready to go. You got me ranting.
And I mean that's half the reason for the show. But don't tell anybody, especially yourself, that I wanted to highlight one more good guy, and that's one of your very own down there in Texas. Has anybody seen this video of Beto O'Rourke literally handing it to a heckler? Because if you haven't, I'm happy to show it to you. People are decrying this because he used a swear word. Wow. But to be honest with you, in this instance, while I agree with decorum, and proper language, this is nothing short of well-deserved. And
these are the same people that talked shit about Beto when he confronted the Uvalde police and mayor and interrupted their little fucking show and tell, dog and pony show, and he called them all out on it. The same people will be like, "Oh, he swore." But well, here you go.
Let's hear from the man himself.
I'm going to make sure that now 11 weeks since we lost 19 kids and their 2 teachers shot to death with a weapon originally designed for use in combat, legally purchased by an 18-year-old who did not try to obtain one when he was 16 or 17, but followed the law that's on the books, ladies and gentlemen, that says that you can buy not one, you can buy 2 or more if you want to, AR-15s, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and take that weapon that was originally designed for use on the battlefields in Vietnam to penetrate an enemy soldier's helmet at 500 feet and knock him down dead, up against kids at 5 feet. It may be funny to you, motherfucker, but it's not funny to me, okay?
Boom.
I'm going to make sure.
Yeah, I hate how Twitter repeats them.
Twitter's a fun universe. But you know what? In that instance, I want that. All right.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna do this on stage and you're gonna tell me grab him by the hoo-has and all that other fun stuff, for him to say that and shout down somebody who was literally laughing at the fact he was describing the weapon that killed 19 kids.
Yeah.
Like, I want that. Ben, we're going to skip through everything else and go right to the last clip because,
unfortunately, as a guy that lives in Texas, I could tell you that I still don't think that he's going to win.
All we have to do is challenge him to a foot race. Sorry, that was really loud. That was terrible. We're going to go right to a palate cleanser because right before Ryan Hansen already said we've already captured lightning in the bottle, and maybe sometimes, Ben, you have to let that lightning out. But before we do that, one of my favorite new follows on Twitter, the Sheldrick Wildlife. It's at Sheldrick Trust on Twitter. Will provide you with this. This is a warthog. Warthog, the big one is Scooter. The little one is Sprite.
Oh my God.
And
now my wife's going to want a mini boar. Look at that thing. Again, if they stayed that small, I might consider it.
I will guarantee you this is exactly what the mascot of the show, Fiona, did and looked like when she was a puppy. This is a warthog at a wildlife refuge that adopted an orphan. So Sprite, the little one, was an orphan, the second orphan warthog, only the second warthog to enter the sanctuary. And big sister Scooter took her on. And I think we can always, I know it's so cute. It's awesome. It's awesome cute. And that's how we're going to lead you right into something. Folks, they're not going to lie. It might not be so cute, but I'll guarantee you it's entertaining because it's the lightning round here on Topic Thunder. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the best segment we do, and still my dad hasn't watched a damn second of the show. So let's go over the rules one more time, because if you're new watching on Twitch, streaming on the YouTube or Facebook, these are the rules for the lightning round. 3 stories enter the world's most dangerous chat room. We call that the Thunderdome. And those folks in the democracy that is Topic Thunder choose which headline we dive into. So, folks, without the dilly or the dally,
we don't dilly-dally.
Not at all. We forget shit all the time, but we don't dilly-dally. We're going to get to headline number 1.
Number 1.
Dad restrains woman who stripped on flight and told him about explosion.
Okay.
Headline number 2. Wanted man drives excavator, leads deputies on chase in world's slowest pursuit. Headline number 3. Man arrested for stealing only Axe body spray.
Okay.
None of them are great.
None of them are great.
They're all really above average, which makes the choice harder. And I see the lightning bolts, and I respect the bolts in the chat room, the world's most dangerous chat room, the Thunderdome. So folks,
it happens so easy lately, so it does need to kind of be reined in a bit and made it a little bit more difficult. All right, here's one more. I know there's like about a 45-second delay.
There's no ringer in this one, right?
Right.
So let's do this one more time as you folks are kind of contemplating this particular one. Headline number 1. Dad restrains woman who stripped on a flight and told him about explosion. Headline number 2. Wanted man drives excavator, leads deputies on chase in world's slowest pursuit. And headline number 3. Man arrested for stealing only Axe body spray. Body Axe. Body blow. No. Man's arrested for stealing only Axe body spray. So this is a tough one.
Number 1, I just got to know what's going on. All right, here we go. Ryan Hansen with his remix. Dad jokes. OJ gets chased again and smells like Teen Spirit.
Made an OJ joke? Oh. All right, we may have to.
You don't want to go down that route because I.
No. Oh boy, somebody's busting out their wallet right now, and
yeah, I've got a controversial.
You just riled up somebody in the chat room. I'm not going to say who, but his initials are Billy Whack.
All right, we got some couple votes.
We'll do one more time as the votes trickle in, right?
All right.
One more time. Number 1. Dad restrains woman who stripped on flight and told him about explosion. Headline number 2. Wanted man drives excavator, leads deputies on chase in world's slowest pursuit. And headline number 3. Man arrested for stealing only Axe body spray.
I'm with Aunt Chris here. Why would you strip in front of your dad? There's a lot of questions on number 1 that I need answered. So that's where my vote would lie. But it looks like number 2 has got a couple of early votes. Ma Jordan in with number 2. Ryan Hansen going with number 2. Courtney with number 3. Let's get some more definitive. I don't know.
Airline lady we got from Billy Whack.
I don't know if it's a vote or.
3. We got a 2.
Number 1. So he is going with number 1. So I'm with Billy Whack.
2.
I want to know.
Yeah, we already got Billy Whack. So we're waiting for Gigi to kind of maybe roll in. Ma Jordan has spoken her piece.
I know based on the numbers of people watching, there are more of you out
there right now. To be honest with you,
number 3.
Right, so
that only furthers the tie. I believe
we are now legitimately at a 3-way tie. I told you, everybody's above average here.
Would my vote for number 1 or no?
Nope. We have a tiebreaker on the television. We have a box sighting.
Box is going to vote for
box vote. Hold on.
Box vote.
Wait, there has to be more 1. Switch to number 1. So Ryan Hansen's rescinding his vote for story number 2 and giving it to number 1.
I think it's the first ever rescinded vote. Do we allow such a thing? This is a first. We have to make a vote now. We have to say now. Either you're stuck with your vote, or can you change vote? Changing votes allows it opens up a Pandora's box.
She says number 1.
Speaking of box,
hello. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna make a call right now. You can't change your vote once you put it into the world's most dangerous chat room.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing? I love and respect for Mr. Hansen, but like once you enter something into the world's most dangerous chat room, it is final.
Jordan already read number 1, so that's why she didn't vote for it. She's saying it's not very interesting. So we'll see.
Well, we're gonna listen to the democracy that is the democracy. That is Topic Thunder, and headline number 1 has won. So, folks, let's hold on. Let me send this one to you because yeah, Jordan, I told you everything was average. I mean, I wasn't making any kind of grandiose promises. And like I said, there wasn't a ringer in this show. But I think we might
vote in the box. It's in the box. If we do T-shirts, by the way, coming up in the Topic Thunder,
merch store,
there will be a shirt that says "Once the vote's in the box, it's in the box."
A brave dad took control of a woman claiming to be a terrorist on a flight full of families. The woman terrified Jet2 passengers when she allegedly stripped down to her underwear and tried to storm the plane's cockpit twice while shouting Allahu Akbar. She reportedly said there would be an explosion and that the children she was with, if they were ready to die. The suspect, believed to be in her 30s, also reported at least that her parents were part of the infamous terror group ISIS. Philip O'Brien, 35, one of the passengers on the flight traveling from Cyprus to Manchester. He was with 6 members of his family, including his wife and 3 children. Quote, as you can imagine, everybody was shitting themselves, he told her. Philip, who used to work in security as a teenager, asked staff why no one had, quote, put the woman on the floor. The crew then said they were not able to, when Philip said, well, I am. The drainage firm boss then got a hold of her and held her down on the floor. When Philip asked her why she was saying such scary things, she reportedly answered, if I didn't, there's going to be an explosion and everybody's going to die. Sky Point.
That's Tracy Smothers.
Everybody's going to die.
Everybody gonna die.
The pilot made an emergency landing in Paris, and there were no reports of any injuries. It's not clear what happened to the woman after the plane landed. That would be an interesting follow-up.
Disappeared into the ether. We have no idea what happened to this woman.
None. But Ben, this is going to be one of those moments where we're gonna not listen to the democracy that is Topic Thunder, but we're gonna give a little more. Somebody said OJ. And the first thing that I thought about when I saw this picture regarding the man arrested for stealing only Axe body spray, the star of headline number 3, folks, just take a look here in just a second and tell me, who does this remind you of?
Is it? There is a little OJ in there.
That's a blonde OJ Simpson.
Hold on.
Just put your fingers over the hair, kind of block out maybe some of the forehead. Just kind of look at that. Yes. It's already, Aunt Chris already sees it. Yes. This is blonde, 1994 wannabe young OJ Simpson who put some sun in his hair, got out there.
I've got this might be the closest pick to showing what you're talking about. It's gonna take me a second here to upload it, but give me a second, it'll be worth it. Because this might actually convince people.
I state right here, I will fight anybody that argues that guy that doesn't look like OJ Simpson. You're going to get a head kick.
Look at that. I'm not. It's not really helping too much, but look, that and that.
The glove doesn't fit, folks.
He does look like he's wearing a blonde wig, and he grew out his beard a little bit like a 5 o'clock shadow. This OJ Simpson right here could be this douchebag.
Thank you. Ryan Hansen sees it. Other people see it. I feel better, and I feel like I can go to sleep a proven man, a justified and reasoned man. Thank you very much, Mod. Jordan's on my side. That's all I needed to hear for this, I believe, the 84th episode, Ben, of Topic Thunder. We totally missed out on celebrating the glory that was episode 83, which I know you weren't around, but has been cut up. It was one of those like sports show quiz things, and somebody asked one of the dudes who had like one of those trait things or something like that, like what year like Richard Dent was drafted, and the dude was like 83, and then like the folks on the score just took a hold of it, and so everything, anytime anybody said anything 83, you knew your producer was all queued up, and after you said it, you waited because you're gonna hear 83. This is episode 84 of Topic Thunder. So we thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a good time. Because I know I did. Ben's dancing. So this means it was a really good show. And I want to take that to my grave. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for participating in the world's most dangerous chat room ever.
Yes. Thank you.
Thunderdome. Thank you so much. And share, tell your folks at work, as long as the HR policy isn't too stringent. You know what I'm saying? Ben, swings and swears this weekend. I hear there's going to be a
good shot for swings and swears. We'll see what happens. You never know. It's me golfing. I'm a psychopath. Anything can happen. So Kurt will be along for the ride. We have a cameraman that's going to follow us around. It's going to be fun.
I got a tip.
I'm going to edit it up, and I'm going to bring it right here to Topic Thunder to debut it for everyone.
And we're kind of shedding some skin every 2 years. We seem to change our things. So stay tuned. That's all I got to say. From the SS Papa.